What should you do if you're a brand new baseball parent, your kid really loves the game, but you actually didn't really play the sport as a kid, or it's been so long that you don't really have any skills yourself to teach them or even to play catch with them? Maybe you don't know how to throw that well. Maybe you don't really know how to swing a bat properly. In this video, I'm going to give you some tips on what you can do as a baseball parent to help your kid love the game, grow their skills, even if you don't have those skills yourself. All right, so I'll give you a quick background. I'm Dan Blewett. I was a pro baseball player. I played Division I baseball, and then I played 6 years in the independent leagues here in the United States. I was a pitcher. I was also a varsity outfielder, and I hit in the number 3 spot on our varsity high school team. I played the game since I was 8 years old. That's when I started. And my father, who passed away about 18 months ago, and I'll link to a video about my dad and my relationship, because I think that's really important to understand as a sports parent. My dad was not a baseball person. He was a really good athlete. He was a runner, but he supported me exactly in the same way that I'm going to advise you today, which is emotional support, playing catch with me, and also upskilling, where he learned new ways to help me, whether it was my hitting or fielding or whatever, even though he didn't have those skills himself. So anyone can do this. It really just depends on how much you want to dive in and be there to support your kid. So again, I became a pro baseball player with a father who didn't have any real baseball skills. My mom played a little softball, but she didn't really practice with me that much. He was the main practice person as far as my two parents went. So I'll break this video into throwing skills, hitting skills, and fielding skills, but let's start real general first. Number one, the biggest thing you can do is get your kid connected with one of their friends who loves the game, where they can go practice themselves. This is not kicking the can or abdicating to someone else, but I played backyard baseball all the time, and I cannot tell you how important that is for self-organizing your own skills. I learned how to throw better. I learned how to hit better by playing a ton of the game. No one was actively teaching me those skills. I was just figuring out how to get bat to ball and how to throw to my partner when we would, do fielding drills on our own. So number one, I would say try to get your kid connected with others in the neighborhood. Really reach out, ask around on the baseball team or on the community list or whatever it is, and say, hey, my son loves baseball. My daughter loves baseball. They really want to go practice with friends. Does anyone want to bring their kids to the park? And me and you can sit in a camp chair far away and watch them just go have fun, or you invite them to your backyard, whatever it is. But definitely lean on other kids, because that takes a lot of pressure off you as a parent, and it lets them develop their love of the game and the sport that they play, because it is play on their own terms. I think that's super important, and kids are unfortunately doing less of that than ever. All right, so number one, throwing skills. So even if you don't know how to throw well yourself, it's not that big of a deal. Just make sure you get a decent glove, and in the backyard, just back it up and do your best. There's a lot of videos on YouTube. I'll link to some below, and you can be on this journey with your kid. That's the simplest thing to do. Just continue to work on your own throwing skills and basically learn something on the internet, teach them, and teach yourself at the same time, and have fun doing it. Do not overcoach. Don't make it too instructive. Don't suck the fun out of it, but just get better at throwing the ball back and forth, because throwing skills are not that hard to develop. And even if you're an adult and you didn't grow up throwing a ball sport, football, baseball, whatever it was, softball, you can still easily improve your throwing. And because you're an adult and you're so much stronger than your kid, you're going to be able to out-throw them, even with basic throwing skills, for quite a long time. Everyone will eventually out-throw their dad, unless, maybe there's someone like me. But I started to out-throw my dad at 13 or 14, even though he really didn't have a background in baseball. So he could still keep up with me until I was probably 13. And that's when I really started to have a really good arm. And then what he would do after that was he would buy a bucket of balls. This is my next piece of advice. Buy 3 dozen balls. Spend that $100, that initial investment, and get a bucket. And your kid can take the bucket of balls. You can back up because you can't throw it as far anymore. They can hit you in the chest, and you put it in another, bag or bucket. Then you do bucket brigade. You take the bucket back up, and they replenish. I did that a ton with my dad when I was 13, 14 and up. When I could long toss way farther than he could, I could throw it 250 feet, 300 feet. So we would have a bucket of balls. I'd throw all 36 balls, my 3 dozen, to him. He'd jog them back, and I'd throw the next 3 dozen. So that's really easy to do. So leverage equipment, buy a bunch of balls. If you have 3 or 4, it's going to be really tough. So buy a couple dozen, make that an investment. You can always find them used on eBay or Facebook Marketplace. That's a great way to save money. Highly recommend that as well. All right, let's talk fielding. So the number one thing you can do to help your kid get better at fielding is learn fungo skills. So what is a fungo? A fungo is a long, skinny bat made for hitting practice grounders and fly balls. This is a 35-inch fungo bat. You don't need a fungo bat to do this. This replaces a heavy wooden bat or an adult-sized baseball bat. If I was running a practice and I was going to hit ground balls to all of our infielders for an hour, I would be physically exhausted like 20 minutes in swinging a 30-ounce heavy adult wood bat. So a fungo bat is much lighter, it's much longer, it's very skinny, it's really easy to generate bat speed, so you can hit all day and not get tired. That's what a fungo bat is for. I don't expect you to go buy a fungo bat. You can easily do that if you want. They're wonderful. I always get wood ones. But use a Little League bat. Those are great. A Little League bat, nice and light, small, easy to wield, and you can hit fungos all day to your kid. So the biggest thing is to learn some techniques with your fungo. And I have a video below, so definitely check that out, where I teach you fungo skills. Lots of people can't hit fly balls deep in the outfield, but I can tell you, it's a skill that you can easily acquire if you put some time into it. And last thing on fielding, buy a couple cheap pop-up nets. That way you can hit a ground ball to your kid. They can throw it across the diamond to the net. It just reduces the reliance on humans. So that way easily you can just hop in the car, bring your nets, bring your balls, bring your bats, and you can hit a ton of ground balls and they can throw it across the diamond. So just a little bit of investment in some inexpensive equipment can go a long way on the fielding side. All right, and hitting. So hitting is really important, and this is the big mistake that most people make is they try to throw full batting practice, like full, I'm going to actually pitch to my kid. Most people cannot do that. Even for me, if I'm going to pitch batting practice to a youth team that I'm coaching, I'm still going to throw not that many strikes, like 60% maybe. That's not that many. They're going to be swinging lots of pitches out of the zone. It's going to really slow down the efficiency. Throwing full BP is really not recommended to have an efficient practice. Yeah, you have to do it sometimes, but if we're talking here, like you probably don't have those skills to throw good BP, and that's totally fine. You don't need them. I'll link below to a video that I made showing the 3 different types of batting practice. There's full BP, which I mentioned, which you don't use most of the time. There's flips, which is underhand, which is not just for little kids. This is what they do in the cage, even with major leaguers. Flips are just underhand tosses that are very easy to target, and they require no real effort on the coach. You can do flips all day long. It's just general moving ball for a kid to work on their hitting mechanics. And then front toss, which is I'm sitting in a chair just like I am right here, and I'm turning and I'm throwing like a dart from like 30 or 40 feet. Very, very easy throw. Any human can do this. So I would recommend to you, get extremely good at doing flips and doing front toss. This way you can go to the batting cage, you can rent a tunnel together, or you can invest in equipment where you have a protective screen, and you can be behind it and you can throw them decent, slow speed batting practice with flips or front toss all day long. It's very, very easy. And then obviously if they need to see more speed, you go to a batting cage, they have their friends pitch to them, use a pitching machine, whatever it is. But overwhelmingly, you can get them lots and lots of good quality reps with just flips and front toss. All right, and lastly, let's talk a little bit more about equipment. There are tons of different types of training balls, foam balls, heavy rubber balls that are sort of limited flight. Obviously, you should definitely invest in a batting tee if your kid's going to play. I suggest spending a little bit more on a batting tee because they will get whacked a ton by your son or daughter, and durability can really become an issue. So you don't want to buy a cheap one 2 or 3 times because they got broken. I'd say spend a little more money, buy a little better one the first time. Look at all the different types of training tools that are out there, and if it's within your budget, invest in them because they keep it fun, they keep it easy, and it takes some pressure off of you. If they're hitting limited flight heavy balls, now you don't have to chase them nearly as far, and you don't have to throw them nearly as far either for them still to get their reps in. So there's lots of different stuff out there. I would just plug yourself into the sort of baseball training community, see what other people are doing, what they're using, and try it, tinker with it, and be super encouraging and positive with your kid because you're not there to teach them the high-level skills that are going to make them a college or pro baseball player. You're there to support their dreams and goals. So just be the encourager, the cheerleader, and their practice companion. And that's going to fill the biggest bucket in helping them get better at their sport. And when you look back on it in the future, you're going to say, man, we spent so much quality time together. That is the biggest reward that you're going to reap from this whole journey. And lastly, I want to give one quick note to moms, especially. Yeah, my mom didn't take on the role of, practice helper when I was a kid, but I've seen a lot of different moms jump in and really do a lot of practice with their kids, including throwing batting practice, including throwing their catcher sons or daughters balls in the dirt that they can block, right? There's lots of ways that you can get in. You do not have to be a male to be a good practice companion to your kids. So women, consider yourself deputized to get in there, learn those fungo skills, go hit your kids' ground balls, and don't feel self-conscious about it. It's quality time with your kid, and your son or daughter will appreciate it. So you absolutely have the skills and the capability to be just as good as dad. This is not a gender issue. So if you're a mom and you want to help your kid get better, jump in there and do it. Real quick, do you want to support my channel and get access to hundreds of member-only baseball videos? If so, click the join button that you'll find right below and learn more about becoming a channel member. All right, so thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, leave them below. I answer tons of questions in my YouTube channel community here. So definitely, if you have any further questions I didn't cover, leave them below and look in the description because you will find a lot of my resources. Like I have a beginner throwing course if you want to learn throwing skills. And I have other videos, the ones that I mentioned on fungo skills, batting practice, throwing skills. They're all in the description below. So you can find those and use those as free resources to get off and running. All right. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you here in the next video.